Viewers, drop your location and your local time in the comments because this story is about to travel a lot farther than Karen Whitmore ever imagined. It's exactly 7:03 a.m. when she plants herself on his porch clutching a clipboard like it's a royal scepter. 1 hour to get rid of that dangerous animal. She declares her perfume arriving 3 seconds before her voice. Rex, his 4-year-old German Shepherd, sits perfectly still wearing a service vest with more legitimacy than Karen's entire HOA presidency. She's already got animal control on speed dial, and she's reciting Covenant 47C like it's scripture. The problem? The rule didn't even exist when he moved in. He listens, blood pressure rising as she accuses him of buying a fake vest online. Historians still argue whether Karen's tone was inspired by reality TV villains or medieval witch trials. Either way, she's about to learn the hard way that Rex isn't just a pet. He's prescribed medical equipment under federal statute the same as a prosthetic limb. Threatening to seize him is like telling someone to hand over their wheelchair. Her timing couldn't be worse. He's a retired Army combat engineer with 3 tours in Afghanistan, a man who's faced IED blast sandstorms and cafeteria chili strong enough to strip paint. PTSD is the invisible scar that follows him home, and Rex is trained for it all. Deep pressure therapy when panic attacks hit, creating space in crowded places, waking him from night terrors before they spiral. Rex doesn't just help him survive. He keeps him tethered to a world that still feels unstable some mornings. When they bought the Maplewood Drive home, it was for Rex as much as himself, half-an-acre, 6-foot fence quiet cul-de-sac. But this HOA queen on the corner lawns, clipped to laser precision, treats property values like national security. The first real clash comes on a stormy night when thunder sends Rex into protective mode. His barking stops the second he senses his handler's panic, but the knock at the door is almost louder than the rain. Karen, in a silk robe, hair flawless, smells faintly of roses and judgment. Noise ordinance, she snips, snapping a photo through the screen door. By sunrise, there's an official violation notice under his door, German Shepherd banned breed, 30 days to rehome or face $50 a day fines. Stella, the night nurse, and Frank, the retired firefighter, warn him Karen has forced out 3 families already. He reads that letter again, sunlight warm on his face, ice settling in his chest. She thinks she's found her next victim. She doesn't see the veteran who knows that federal law doesn't blink for HOA bluster. The counterattack is already forming. 3 days later, a certified letter arrives, thick envelope, law firm letterhead, and the faint smell of expensive paper that always means bad news. Inside, Karen's nuclear option, a $10,000 lawsuit threat for willful violation of community standards, complete with time-stamped photos of Rex lounging in the backyard, which means someone Karen has been trespassing to build her case. Rex leans into his leg, steady as a sandbag, while he studies the letter. Combat taught him that you never fight blind. The next morning, he's at the county recorder's office digging through HOA amendments. 4 hours and 3 vending machine coffees later, he hits Gold Covenant 47C. Didn't exist when he bought his place. Grandfathered in no breed restrictions. It's a small victory, but in war, every intel win counts. Animal control shows up the next day with Officer Rodriguez, who clearly wants no part of this. Rex's federal certification hologram seals ID number VA verification, takes about 30 seconds to shut the whole thing down. Federal law trumps HOA rules every time Rodriguez tells Karen, whose face shifts from pearl pale to ripe tomato red. She leaves heels clicking like a drumbeat of defeat. But he knows that look, same one insurgents wore when they were already plotting their next move. It comes fast. A Facebook group called Maplewood Safety Watch suddenly appears stocked with photos of Rex under captions like aggressive animal near children's playground. At the grocery store, conversations stop when he walks by. Spray-painted slurs appear on his garage. Security cameras go up, catching Karen trespassing in the early morning and late at night, measuring fences, peering through the dog door, behaving like a suburban spy with a tape measure. Historians still argue whether her tactics were paranoia or pure arrogance, but the truth doesn't matter in HOA gossip warfare. What matters is evidence. He archives every clip, every false claim. Stella quietly screenshots Karen's posts before they vanish. Frank digs into selective enforcement board members breaking rules without consequence while Karen buries others in fines. Then Karen crosses the ultimate line, a false police report claiming Rex attacked her granddaughter. The timeline doesn't match. They're at the VA at that exact hour, and security footage proves it. The officers leave with copies of the evidence and a new understanding of who's really dangerous here. Behind the calm, his military mind is assembling the bigger picture. Karen isn't just power drunk. She's running a harassment for profit scheme. With Stella's gossip intel, Frank's property records, and attorney Sarah Kim's legal muscle, the pattern emerges: target, harass, force, a sale flip for profit. Karen's not running an HOA, she's running a racket. And she's just made the mistake of targeting someone who's fought worse battles with federal law as his air cover. Once Sarah Kim's subpoenas start landing, Karen's empire begins to wobble. Marcus, her brother-in-law and property-flipping partner, flips faster than a mess hall pancake, trading testimony for a lighter sentence. His emails are a blueprint of their scam target property at 1247 Maplewood Drive identified. Veteran homeowner, PTSD, disability. Large dog presents violation opportunities. They'd even projected his break point in months and profit down to the dollar. The FBI, IRS, and VA all open files. Federal agents seize Marcus's records, and the numbers are staggering: 17 families, $1.2 million in equity stripped. Meanwhile, Frank rallies the neighborhood, petition in hand, while Stella hosts meetings that turn whispers into collective outrage. 89% of residents sign for new board elections. Historians still argue whether it was the free cookies or the smell of justice that drew the biggest crowd. Karen's counters are pure flailing, hiring a PI who plants a bug by his mailbox caught on camera, bribing Officer Rodriguez with a campaign donation, even teaming with an anti-veteran fringe group to question Rex's legitimacy. Dr. Martinez's VA documentation swats that down in 2 days, listing Rex's skills in clinical detail: panic attack interruption, nightmare response, crowd control. It's medical necessity in black and white. By the time the city council chambers fill to capacity for the emergency town hall, Karen's down to one suit, no lawyer, and a face pale enough to make milk look tan. Sarah Kim lays out 12 years of fraud like she's reading a grocery list, Marcus's confession sealing it. When it's his turn, he walks to the podium with Rex at heel. The applause is long enough to make Karen squirm before he even speaks. When you target a combat veteran, he tells her you'd better make sure you can win the war, because federal law doesn't negotiate with neighborhood bullies. The room roars. Karen's rebuttal: veterans, unstable dogs. Dangerous earns booze loud enough to rattle the chamber windows. FBI agent Sarah Olivia steps up next. Karen is under investigation for conspiracy, fraud, civil rights violations. Arrests are imminent. 6 months later, Karen's in federal prison, 3 years plus restitution. Her corner lot fortress forecloses. The lot becomes the Rex Rodriguez Memorial Service Dog Training Facility. Property values rise, the HOA passes bylaws protecting disabled residents, and Colorado enacts the Service Dog Protection Act. Rex, semi-retired now, trains the next generation of service dogs while he still keeps an eye on his partner. And in the quiet moments like now, he sits on the porch, autumn air, carrying the scent of the community garden planted where Karen's roses once grew. The battles here are over, replaced by Saturday coffees with friends, bark in the park fundraisers, and the knowledge that sometimes the good guys do win. And they bring their dogs. The pace of the telling slows, softening around the edges like the last light of day sliding across familiar walls. The sharp lines of courtrooms and violation notices fade into the muted tones of a street where children ride bikes again, where neighbors wave without glancing over their shoulders. The air smells of damp soil and fresh coffee, and somewhere in the background, Rex's low, steady breathing marks the rhythm of a life reclaimed. It's not that the past disappears. Some memories still arrive without warning, like distant thunder on a clear day, but they're tempered now by the sight of wrecks sprawled in the sun or the sound of laughter drifting from the community garden. The same street that once felt like a siege line now feels like an open invitation, its fences less like barriers and more like frames for blooming flowers. Every so often, a new resident asks about the bronze plaque at the training facility. The story gets told always with a smile at the part where federal agents carried boxes out of Karen's house, and the telling seems to knit the community a little closer. They've learned that vigilance doesn't mean suspicion, and that protection doesn't always wear a badge. Sometimes it wears fur and a vest and knows when to lean in, steadying your breath until the world feels safe again. The evening slips quietly toward night, porch lights winking on one by one. Somewhere a wind chime stirs, and Rex lifts his head just enough to check the horizon before settling again. Here in this calm, there's room for the long exhale, for the thought that justice, slow though it may be, will find its way to the right door.